Have you ever wondered, really, who is in control in there? Perhaps you believe that your decisions are yours, that your desires are spontaneous, that your emotions are legitimate, and that your thoughts are born of your own awakened consciousness. But what if all this is just a very well-designed illusion? Imagine your mind as an ancient temple, filled with aisles, mirrors, forgotten inscriptions, and locked doors with codes you never created, but which obey faithfully. It is as if you were operating a system that was installed even before you learned to say I. A system full of inherited beliefs, silent traumas, phrases said by other mouths, which echo even today within you. You feel like you're in charge. But what if you're not? What if, in fact, you are only the reflection of invisible scripts, recorded in the silence of childhood, in unspoken words, punishments and rewards, looks, absences, automatic programs that dictate what you like, what you fear, what you choose, without you noticing? Now take a deep breath. He closes his eyes, even if only inside, and asks himself, am I really free, or just a well-rehearsed reflection of what has been printed on me? Because this is where the awakening begins. It is here that we break the surface of the common mind and plunge into the dense and mysterious waters of the subconscious, where the true power, but also the true conflict, resides. If you have felt a shiver now, or an almost sacred discomfort, know that it is not by chance. It is your inner self moving, trying to remember what has been forgotten. Because the awakening does not happen with lights and palms. It begins with the soft shock of truth. And the truth is simple. You did not come here by coincidence. You had been called Dan. Now the call echoes within you. Remember that child you were. The one who saw the world with infinite eyes, without so many ties, without so many doubts, without the overwhelming weight of I cannot, and it does not work. Over time, the scenario was changing. Words were thrown into your heart like seeds. Some bloomed in courage, others in fear, guilt, and limitations. Be a realist. Do not go further. This is not for you. Every phrase, every look, every gesture, an invisible line of code engraved in the memory of your being. And then, my friend, the subconscious mind began to work as a relentless autopilot. It filters what you believe to be true and shapes your reality based on these old beliefs. Often outdated but loaded with emotion. It does not judge. It does not choose the best for you. It simply repeats what has been programmed. How many times have you been caught in a cycle, repeating the same mistakes, attracting the same situations, speaking the same words that you heard as a child, without even noticing? How many times have you felt that cold fear, an inner voice, saying stop, don't try, even without knowing exactly why? This is the hidden power of the subconscious. It is the guardian of your fears and their certainties, even false ones. But here's the question that can change everything. Are you making your choices based on the deep desire to be happy, or the invisible fear of making mistakes, suffering, losing? Fear, when dominating your internal program, creates a magnetic field that attracts situations that confirm your limiting beliefs. What you believe about yourself, about your ability, your worth, your destiny, is what you live. But breathe, because there is light at the end of this maze. Just imagine, inside you there is a hidden world, a mysterious kingdom where all your limiting beliefs are hidden. Your deepest fears and that inner voice that sometimes sabotages your dreams. This is your shadow, this invisible part that carries everything you have repressed, denied or ignored. Carl Jung once said that the shadow does not disappear when you pretend it doesn't exist. It just gets bigger, commanding your choices without you noticing. This is where lies the key to freedom. Face that shadow, give light to what is dark, so that it loses the power to control your life. It's not easy. No one said transforming the mind would be a walk in the park. It is painful, yes, because it requires you to break the inner walls that protect the old me, that confront the wounds that you have carried for so long. But remember, within this battle there is a huge potential for rebirth. Each piece that you disassemble within yourself opens space to build a new version, freer, more authentic, more conscious. This journey is not for anyone. It is for those who have the courage to look inside, even when the reflection is uncomfortable. And do you know what is most powerful? This transformation does not depend on what is out there. The world you see is just a reflection of what's happening inside your system. It changes what is in there, and the universe begins to conspire in your favor, really. It's not magic, it's spiritual science. It is alignment. It is coherence between your heart, your mind, and your actions. It is to create reality from the center of your being, where true freedom dwells. So I ask you, are you willing to be the alchemist of your own existence? Are you ready to take conscious control of your internal operating system? Because when you choose this route, everything changes. Fears become teachers, challenges become trampolines, and the old autopilot gives way to a wise, attentive, and full of power navigator. You are no longer a puppet of past schedules. You are the creator of your destiny. And here is an invitation. Begin the simple but transformative practice of conscious observation. During your day, stop to notice what are the thoughts that arise automatically, which emotions are repeated in cycles, what patterns are running without your permission. This is looking at the codes of your system. It's starting to realize where the old is repeating itself. Only with this awareness you are already on the path of reprogramming. Remember, true change is born of kindness to yourself. It's not forcing, it's not judging, it's not charging. It is to accept what exists and then transform. It is to allow the light to enter without fear, and that the natural process of renewal take place. Because you are much more than your blockages. You are a force of nature, able to reinvent your history and expand your consciousness. Let us now talk about an invisible force that, although imperceptible, governs almost all your decisions. Fear. He is the silent ghost that roams your mental operating system, often sabotaging dreams, blocking opportunities, and creating internal walls. But at the same time, fear is not your enemy. It is a messenger, a powerful energy that, when understood, can become fuel for an extraordinary life. Think with me. How many times have you found yourself avoiding something, running away from a challenge, or even giving up before starting, without even understanding why? That little voice that says it will not work, is better to stay in the comfort zone, and if I fail. These are clear expressions of fear acting in your subconscious mind, and believe me, this fear did not arise out of nothing. It is the result of the codes that were recorded back there, often in moments of vulnerability, in the first experiences of childhood, in the phrases you heard and assimilated as absolute truth. But here is the cat's jump. When fear dominates, it creates limited realities. He keeps you in cycles of repetition, where the same difficulties appear, the same negative emotions persist, and that feeling of being stuck never goes away. However, if you look carefully, you will realize that behind the fear, there is a different pulse, another energy that is also always present, even if often forgotten. Love. Love is not just a romantic feeling or a self-help cliché. Love is the primordial force of the universe, the energy that builds, transforms, and can resignify everything that fear creates. While fear holds you in the darkness of I can't, love drives you to the light of I'm capable. And the magic happens when you decide to choose love as your guide, even when fear hits hard. Imagine this as a dance to energies. Fear and love, always moving within you, one pulling back, another pulling forward. What decides which one leads this dance? Your consciousness, your attention, your intentional choice. That is where your responsibility as master of your mental system comes in. You can begin to identify those moments when fear tries to dominate, and, with courage, invite love to take the lead. And this transformation, I assure you, is not quick or simple, but it is profound and liberating. Because it is not about eliminating fear. This is impossible and even undesirable. Fear has its important role of protection and warning. What you can do is change the relationship you have with him, recognizing that he is a part of you, but no longer need to command in the game. And when you start to do this, life begins to respond differently. The doors that before seemed closed begin to open, opportunities arise, and, above all, you feel an inner peace that is the true basis of freedom. The freedom to be who you are, without masks, without excessive fear, but with courage, presence, and love. Now, for this practical step, I want you to do the following exercise. Whenever you feel that anxiety, that squeeze in your chest, that voice of fear whispering, stop and take a deep breath. Recognize the fear, accept it, without judging, without resisting. Then, mentalize or feel deeply an energy of love. Love for yourself, love for life, love for possibility. Visualize this energy growing, involving the fear and turning that heavy vibration into lightness and confidence. Repeat this process daily, and see how your mental operating system will gradually be reprogrammed to a new frequency. This is the emotional alchemy that will turn the game of your reality. Remember, you are not alone in this walk. The whole human history is about this inner struggle between fear and love, darkness and light, destruction and creation. Great teachers, from Buddha to Jesus, through ancient sages of all cultures, taught us the importance of this conscious choice. And you, who are here now, are being called to take on this role of master, alchemist of your own mind, to turn fears into bridges and create a life that reflects the love you carry within. We have arrived at a crucial point in our journey, where the encounter with the inner shadow becomes inevitable, that part of the psyche that we often prefer to ignore, hide, or reject. But there, exactly there, is the key to true freedom. Carl Jung, the great explorer of the human mind, called this shadow the repressed parts of ourselves. It is the fears, the pains, the traumas, the limiting beliefs that have been buried in the subconscious, but which continue to pull the invisible ropes of our life. This shadow is not the enemy. It is an essential part of your being, a piece that needs to be welcomed and integrated, not denied or fought. Because while it is in the dark, without a voice, it controls you silently and powerfully, sabotaging your dreams, your relationships, your peace. Think of that person who lives repeating the same painful patterns, who engages in toxic relationships, or who sabotages himself at the moment of success. This is the shadow acting, echoing old stories, emotional memories that have been archived in the past but remain alive in you. The invitation here is to a deep courage, the courage to look inward, without fear, without judgment, with kindness. Ask yourself, what part of me have I been hiding? What pain did I not want to see? What wound is crying out for healing? And do you know what happens when you light that shadow? It loses the power to control you. When you give voice to what was previously repressed, when you name what was once invisible, you start reprogramming your internal system. It is not an easy task. It is not magic and has no ready formula. It is a gradual process of self-knowledge, an acceptance of learning to welcome your own shadows as part of the path to light. And here comes a revolutionary vision. Their shadows, their fears and pains are actually teachers, hidden masters, who bring powerful teachings to your evolution. Every repressed emotion is a map to healing. Every glaring fear is a door to expansion. Every limited belief you question is a step toward freedom. It is as if you have spent years building an emotional prison, and now begin to find the keys to open the bars, one by one. But for that, you have to be willing to be vulnerable, to allow yourself to feel, without running away, embracing the temporary discomfort that transformation requires. This reconstruction is not simply about returning to who you were, but creating a more authentic, freer, and more conscious version of yourself. The integral shadow is the basis of true transformation. Without it, all personal development is half a sandcastle that the wind of life can easily bring down. So, how about taking that step now? Close your eyes, take a deep breath, and ask yourself this question. What shadow am I avoiding? What does she'll have to teach me? Only those who have the courage for this deep journey can achieve genuine freedom, one that is born from within and radiates outward, changing everything now that you have faced the shadow, which has already begun to give light to those forgotten and repressed parts within you. It is time to talk about one of the most powerful and liberating steps of your journey, the awakening of consciousness. Consciousness is not just being awake in the physical sense, no. It is to be awakened to the inner reality, to one's own patterns, emotions, and thoughts. It is to take control of the autopilot and begin to command the ship of your mind with intention, clarity, and presence. Imagine that your mind is a vast ocean, and until here you sailed almost always on the surface, sometimes being dragged by the waves, not knowing exactly where you were going. The awakening of consciousness is like a deep dive, an immersion in the inner waters, where you find calm, clarity, and power to decide. When you wake up, you begin to realize that many of your automatic reactions, fears, insecurities, and limitations are not you. They are old programs, patterns that were recorded in childhood or in striking experiences, but can be updated. You realize that you are not the victim of these programs, but the programmer, who has the key to rewrite the code that guides your life. And this awareness generates a profound change. Because when you stop identifying with the inner voices that say you're not enough, you can't, it's not going to work, you create space for the new, for growth, for expansion. It's like taking off the dirty glasses that were clouding your vision of the world, and yourself. Suddenly, everything becomes clearer, brighter, more full of possibilities. But awakening is not only intellectual perception, it is a felt, visceral experience that touches every fiber of your being. It is to feel the heart beating differently, the air enter lighter, the mind calm, and the soul awaken to its true essence. And that essence is the key to true freedom, because in it you find the connection with something greater, be it called universe, divinity, energy, supreme consciousness, and realize that it is not separate. This connection broadens your vision, gives you the courage to face what used to be scary, and guides you to live in line with your deepest values. You begin to understand that your external reality is a direct reflection of what you carry inside: your beliefs, emotions, thoughts. So by changing your inner world, you automatically transform your outer world. But attention, this transformation does not happen overnight. It is a process, a continuous journey of self-discovery and daily practice. It requires patience, compassion for yourself, and the courage to continue, even when things get difficult, because the old system tries to resist, tries to pull you back into the comfort zone, into the known, even if it means suffering. But you are here to go beyond, to break these invisible chains and become the architect of your own existence. So, I invite you now for a simple but powerful exercise. Throughout your day, practice observing without judging. When a negative thought arises, an uncomfortable emotion, do not run away, do not criticize yourself. Just watch, acknowledge, and thank for the message that is coming. This practice creates space for the awakening of consciousness, so that gradually you begin to reprogram your subconscious mind. Here we are, in the final stretch of this transformative journey. If you have come this far, you have already taken giant steps towards inner freedom, have looked inside, faced its shadows, and began to illuminate the most hidden corners of your mind. But now, I throw you a challenge, perhaps the biggest of all. What if you really took control of your life? What if you decided that you will no longer be a puppet of your old programs, inherited fears, limiting beliefs that pull you down? The good news is that this decision is in your hands now. At this very moment, you are the creator of your world, the author of your story, the master of your mind. It is not an external miracle, magic formulas, or easy shortcuts. It is a commitment to oneself, a genuine courage to look inward and act differently every day. It is time to choose consciousness instead of automatic, to choose love instead of fear, to choose presence instead of escape. You already have within you everything you need to transform your reality: wisdom, strength, and light. Just need to remember that, wake up to this truth, and act. Now, close your eyes, take a deep breath, and repeat to yourself, I am the creator of my reality. I release everything that limits me and embrace my power of transformation. Feel this energy pulsating inside the chest, that flame that never went out, but sometimes was hidden. So, how about taking the next step? If this video stirred you, if these words awakened something that was asleep, leave your light here in the comments as a symbol of your commitment to this journey. Like, share, and subscribe to the channel, not to miss the next meetings that will further deepen this path of self-discovery. This is your key to go ahead on your own, to be the alchemist of your own life. Remember, true freedom is not outside, but inside you. Awaken to this truth, take control, and create the reality you deserve to live. Thank you for walking with me here. See you on the next trip.